There are some strange but fascinating things going on this lonely stretch of road in central Pennsylvania, where the counties of Center and Clinton meet. These 11 men are from the Atomic Energy Commission, here to find a site for a possible underground storage tank for natural gas. They have been here 2 days. The project is still in its early stages, but if a site can be found, what they plan is to lower 3,000 feet into the ground a nuclear device equal to 20,000 tons of TNT, or just about the size of the atomic bomb that fell on Hiroshima and then exploded. The resulting cavity would create the storage tank.
This cavity will be formed when the nuclear explosive goes off. There's a tremendous amount of heat generated. This heat actually melts and vaporizes the rock that's immediately around the explosive. And further out, there is more rock melted, and the gases that are formed, this vaporized rock, is actually like any hot compressed gas. It has a tendency to expand, and so it does, pushing this molten rock and crushing and fracturing the other rock that's outside it. So in this manner that the gas expands like a balloon and pushes all the rock. And the cavity is really formed by the permanent deformation of the rock. It's displaced from the shot point, and this displacement goes out to some distance.
Now, would there be any danger of fallout or a shock wave or radiation?
Yeah, well, there's absolutely no problem in fallout, or no chance of fallout occurring. The depth of burst that we're thinking about for this experiment is at 3,300 feet. And for this explosive at 3,300 feet, it's 3 or 4 times deeper than is normally required to contain a nuclear explosive. And so there just isn't any chance of radioactivity escaping in any amount to cause any problem. Of course, there is a compressive wave that comes out, and this is the ground shock, and this is...
How far does that go?
Well, it goes out to significant distances. It goes out to teleseismic distances. But the real question is, does it cause any damage? And from our experience, from the number of shots that we've detonated at the test site and at other off-site locations, we don't feel that there will be any significant damage to any of the communities which are near the site.
This particular part of the state is rough, hard country, typical of land in this Nittany Valley. It is mostly an ocean of trees, hills, and hard ground, fit for hunting, but not for much else. Unless you run a hunting camp here, you don't make a profit out of the land. The nearest town is 15 miles away. Its name is Snowshoe. Why do you want to develop underground storage in a state like Pennsylvania?
Well, it's a good question. Pennsylvania has more natural underground storage than any other state in the Union right now. But nevertheless, we will need this kind of storage, nuclearly created storage, because you take gas out of storage on the coldest day of the winter. And when you're able to take it from a spot up here in the Appalachian area, rather than having to move that amount of gas clear from the southwest through several hundred miles of pipelines, it's a lot more economical. The other part of that is that you not only avoid building additional pipelines to take care of the coldest day in winter, the peak load, but you also are able to use the pipelines that you have in for 100% of capacity all year round, and that means you have a high load factor, and it means they're a tremendous economical operation.
If the blast does occur here, it will not be for almost 18 months. In the meantime, approval is going to have to come from the state, from Washington, from the Atomic Energy Commission, and from others. But if all does go well and the blast does go off, about the only thing that will be lost here are some trees and some rocks and some very hard ground. John Lawrence, Eyewitness News, Center County. For years now, this airport circle area has had the dubious honor of having more accidents at it than at any other intersection in the city of Philadelphia. So to cut down the accidents and hopefully to get you to and from the airport a little easier, they've put these 2 roads through the circle. Here's how it's going to look tomorrow. If you're coming from the city and you want to get to the airport, you come through the circle. Conversely, if you're coming from the airport and you want to get to the city, you come through the circle. But if you're coming from the airport or the city and you want to go to, say, Island Avenue or Passyunk Avenue, you go around the circle, not through it. There'll be traffic lights at each entrance, and there'll also be signs to tell you how to get where. Where are the signs? Well, here they are, driving fans, in the grass, which means that somebody is going to have to do a lot of work to get them up for tomorrow's opening. Anyhow, those of you who are going to be using the circle, you'll get your first crack at it come tomorrow. Good night and good luck. This is the Reverend Arthur Ford, as he looked in 1927. He is now 71. He says he is a medium, or a psychic, or a sensitive, and there are a lot of people who agree with him. Others aren't so sure, but one thing is sure. Arthur Ford is probably the best-known sensitive in the world. He has given sittings for literally thousands of people, and it is said he has brought them evidence of a life beyond the grave. Reverend Ford, how do you do this thing that you do?
You mean going into trance?
Yes. How does this work?
Well, it's a bit of a yogi technique. I learned it all from the yogins. I simply go to sleep, and then I'm controlled by this Fletcher.
Now, Fletcher is dead.
Fletcher is supposed to be dead, and he is known as a control. He acts as an interpreter between those on the other side who wish to communicate. And about the only part I play in this is that I lend him my vocal cords while I'm sound asleep.
Reverend Ford, why would someone who is dead want to speak to someone who's alive? What's the purpose of all this?
Well, that is the basis of Christianity, and for the same reason that Jesus came back, to let people know that they did survive death as a total personality. And if we can prove that in a scientific manner, and we are proving it in 42 colleges today and in many other groups, then the biblical account can be believed.
There are those who say that Arthur Ford is a fake and that what he does is fraud. But there are also others, including some in government and in the church, who say that he is right on the button. It is a question that is perhaps best left up to science to evaluate and answer. If it is true that what Arthur Ford does is honest and accurate, then clearly it is only a question of time until that which is strange now becomes not so strange at all. John Lawrence, Eyewitness News, reporting.